I had been living in my apartment for about a year when strange things started happening. At first, they were small, little things I could dismiss as forgetfulness. I'd wake up to find my bedroom door open when I was sure I had closed it before bed. Cabinets in the kitchen left ajar when I knew I had shut them. My keys disappearing and reappearing in places I would never leave them. It escalated slowly. One night, I came home from work and found my bathroom light on. I was sure I had turned it off that morning. Then there was the sound of footsteps in my living room when I was in bed, the faint creaking of the floorboards, as if someone was shifting their weight. I lived alone. At first, I chalked it up to paranoia, maybe even exhaustion. I worked long hours, and sometimes my mind played tricks on me. But deep down, something felt wrong. Then, one night, I was lying in bed, scrolling through my phone, when I heard something that made my skin crawl, a soft rustling sound from my closet. My heart pounded as I stared at the door, which was slightly ajar. I told myself it was just the building settling, or the air shifting things around. But then I heard it again, a faint shuffling, like fabric brushing against wood. I sat up, debating whether to check, when something else happened. The door to my closet, which had been open just an inch, slowly creaked open wider. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Then, the worst part, a whisper. It was so faint, so quiet, but I heard it. 2 words, "Not yet." I bolted. I didn't even grab anything. I just ran out of my apartment and into the hallway, slamming the door behind me. I called the police, barely able to form words. When they arrived, they searched my apartment from top to bottom. They found something that made my stomach drop. In the crawl space above my bedroom, the ceiling panel had been shifted. Inside, they found a small mattress, food wrappers, and a notebook filled with incoherent scribbles. Someone had been living there, watching me. The police estimated he had been there for months, maybe longer. To this day, I don't know how many times I fell asleep with him hiding just a few feet away. I worked the closing shift at a grocery store, which meant I often left work around midnight. The parking lot was usually empty by the time I got out, just my car and a few stragglers picking up last-minute groceries. One night, as I walked to my car, I noticed a woman standing near the back of the lot. She was facing away from me, her long hair hanging over her shoulders, completely still. I tried not to think too much of it. Maybe she was waiting for someone. Maybe she had car trouble. I got into my car, locked the doors, and started the engine. That's when she moved. Not toward me, not away, just slightly. Her head tilted, just enough to let me know she was aware of me. I didn't want to sit there and find out what she was doing. I put the car in reverse and started backing out. That's when I realized something was wrong. She wasn't alone. 2 other people, both men, stepped out from between parked cars. They had been crouching, hiding, one on each side of my vehicle. My stomach dropped. I didn't hesitate. I slammed my foot on the gas and sped out of the parking lot, nearly hitting one of them as they lunged toward my car. I didn't look back. When I got home, I called the police. They checked the store's security footage. What they told me still haunts me. The woman had been standing there for almost an hour, just waiting, watching the exit. The men had been there just as long, hiding, moving between the cars, waiting for someone to be alone. A few days later, I found out something that made my stomach sink even further. A woman had gone missing from a grocery store parking lot in a town just a few miles away. The circumstances were eerily similar. Late night shift, empty lot, strange people lurking. They never found her. If I hadn't noticed them at the last second, if I had hesitated for even a moment, I might not be here to tell this story. I used to love taking late night drives. Something about the empty roads, the quiet, the way the world felt different after dark. It was peaceful. One night, I decided to take a drive through a part of town I didn't usually go to. An old, almost rural area with long winding roads and hardly any streetlights. I was driving for about 20 minutes when I saw it. A house. It sat just off the road, partially hidden by trees, 2 stories, old and weathered, but the porch light was on. It struck me as strange, because I had driven this way before and never noticed a house there. Something about it felt off. The windows were dark, except for one. On the second floor, a dim light flickered. I slowed down, staring at it as I passed. That's when I saw something move. A figure, standing in the upstairs window, watching me. A chill ran through me. I hit the gas, not wanting to stick around. I tried to put it out of my mind, convincing myself it was just my imagination. That something about that house lingered in my thoughts for days. A week later, I took the same drive, same road. I wanted to see it again, but the house wasn't there. I drove past the spot 3 times, even pulled over to check. Nothing, just trees, grass, and an empty field. No house. I started asking around. I even looked up property records. There was never a house there. No record of one ever being built. A few weeks later, I was telling a friend about the experience when he got a strange look on his face. "Wait," he said. "Did you say there was a light in the upstairs window?" I nodded. His face paled. "That's impossible." I asked him what he meant, and he told me that years ago, before the house was demolished, a man had lived there, a recluse. People in town said he had problems, that he did things to people who got too close, and the scariest part, he never used lights in his house, except when he was expecting someone. I don't know what I saw that night, and I don't think I ever want to find out. I used to drive for a rideshare company to make extra money. It was easy work. Pick people up, drop them off, and repeat. Most nights were uneventful. People on their phones, small talk, the occasional drunk person needing a ride home. But one night changed everything. It was a slow evening, and I was about to call it quits when a new ride request popped up. The pickup location was in a quiet residential neighborhood on the outskirts of town. It wasn't far, so I accepted it. When I arrived, the street was completely empty. No porch lights, no movement, just silent houses and parked cars. I checked the app. The rider's name was Danny. A minute passed, then another. I was about to cancel when I saw someone walking out from between 2 houses. It was a man, dressed in dark clothes. He moved slowly, almost cautiously, and as he approached my car, something felt off. His hands were buried deep in his hoodie, and he never looked directly at me. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the lock button. "Danny," I called out through the window. He nodded once, but still didn't look at me. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the doors. He slid into the back seat without a word. The air in the car instantly felt heavier. I glanced at him through the rearview mirror. His hood was pulled low, hiding most of his face. "Where are we headed?" I asked, even though the app already had the destination. A long pause, then barely above a whisper, he said, "Just drive." A chill ran down my spine. I forced a nervous laugh. I need to follow the app, man. "Where are we going?" Another pause. Then in the same whispering tone, he said, "Away from here." Something inside me screamed to get out of this situation. I could feel my pulse in my throat. I casually reached for my phone, pretending to adjust the GPS, but really, I was getting ready to send a quick SOS to a friend. Before I could, he spoke again. "You weren't supposed to pick me up." My hands froze. "What?" I asked, my voice barely steady. He finally looked up. Through the mirror, I saw his eyes, wide, unblinking, almost hungry. "You weren't supposed to be the driver," he said, tilting his head slightly, "but I guess you'll do." My stomach dropped. I forced myself to stay calm, keeping my voice steady. "Listen, man, if this is a joke, it's not," he interrupted. Then slowly, he reached into his hoodie. I didn't wait to see what he was pulling out. I slammed my foot on the gas, making the car lurch forward. He wasn't expecting it. The sudden movement threw him against the seat, giving me just enough time to act. I yanked the wheel and turned down the nearest street, driving fast, too fast for a neighborhood. "Stop the car," he said, his voice eerily calm. I ignored him. My eyes darted to the mirror, watching his every movement. His hand was still in his pocket. I took another sharp turn, tires screeching. That's when I saw them. Two men standing at the corner of the street, both dressed in dark clothing, both staring at my car. As I sped toward them, I realized too late, he wasn't alone. "Stop," he repeated, his voice more forceful. Instead, I did the only thing I could think of. I jerked the wheel and drove straight toward the nearest gas station, where I knew there would be people. As soon as I pulled up to the pumps, I threw the car into park and jumped out, yelling for help. The man in the back seat didn't move. He just sat there, staring at me through the rear window, expressionless. Then, without a word, he opened the door and walked away, disappearing into the night. The police arrived minutes later. They checked the car, took my statement, and even reviewed security footage from the gas station. But here's the part that still makes my skin crawl. When they ran the name Danny through the rideshare app, they found something disturbing. The ride request, it wasn't made from an account in use. It had been deactivated for months. Whoever I picked up that night had never ordered a ride, and to this day, I don't know what would have happened if I had stopped the car.